Week 3 wraps up with a Saturday doubleheader. First up, we go to Calgary, where it is rainy and windy. The Stampeders looking to remain undefeated against the winless RedBlacks. And then a little later on, the Lions welcome the Blue Bombers to BC Place for a rematch. With Drew Brown still nursing a hip injury from week number 1, the RedBlacks turning to Dustin Crum after Matthew Schultz struggled last week, throwing 3 picks. Also with this weather a factor, Crum's ability to run may be part of the decision. No question regarding the starting QB over in Calgary. Vernon Adams Jr. averaging 292 passing yards with his new team, but has yet to record a passing touchdown. Will today be the day, or will Mother Nature wreak havoc? All eyes on the ground game in Calgary today. And then a little later on, all eyes at BC Place. The panel is officially back on the road. I was told that Snoop Dogg was still here. Is this true or not true?
Is that a joke?
I think we're a couple weeks late, to be quite honest with you. Back alongside Enoch Mwamba and Davis Sanchez, we got a Saturday doubleheader. And let us begin in Calgary. As I mentioned, it is going to be Dustin Crum. And look, Schultz wasn't great in last week's game. We all know that. But with this type of weather, you look at a guy like Crum who can use his legs really well, and maybe that factoring into Bobby Dice's decision.
It's a rain game. That means that there's going to be a lot of running. There's going to be a lot of handoffs. William Standback has to get going as well. You saw already in the warm-ups, a lot of the guys have taken their gloves off. Passing game is not going to be as effective. You see it right there. It's not going to be as effective, so you got to be able to run the ball. Standback needs to get going for this team as well. Tonight might be the night, Davis.
Yeah, I don't know what Bobby Dice's plan was if the weather was good. Maybe he still goes to Crum. But the fact that, to your point, Kate, the fact that this is a cold weather game or a rainy game, it does fit Crum's skill set. On the other side, V8 too, one of the things or one of the ways that you can beat Vernon Adams is with the turnovers. And with this type of weather, it's a game where you could potentially get some turnovers from VA in clean weather and sunshine when VA's rolling. Really tough to stop. This weather is probably a good thing for these RedBlacks.
I'll tell you who's going to be busy tonight. The defensive linemen as well. We're talking about how impactful the ground game is going to be. Well, guess what? They're going to have to be chasing around both of these running backs that can run.
You know who else is going to be impactful? I think 4 touchdowns already on the season. That's Dedrick Mills. How unenjoyable is it to play in this type of weather game? Tough?
It's tough.
You'd rather
I love
snow
it.
or rain?
As a linebacker?
Snow or rain?
I'd rather have snow.
Really?
Yeah, absolutely.
Me too.
Same to me. It doesn't matter.
We'll get you to Calgary right after this.
Thank you, Kate. It is a beautiful day here in Calgary. For November, it is windy. It is cold. It has been raining all day. It's the elements against the 0-2 Ottawa RedBlacks and the 2-0 Calgary Stampeders here in Week 3. Yeah, this is what we're in for here. So ball control, maybe a little bit more running in this one at McMahon Stadium for another meeting between Ottawa and Calgary. The RedBlacks, Dwayne, making another change at quarterback. Drew Brown still hurt, so it's Dustin Crum getting his first start in nearly 2 years.
Yeah, third different quarterback in 3 weeks for Ottawa. Dustin Crum, though, provides a bit of a different element, obviously, with the mobility that he displayed, well, essentially becoming the RedBlacks starter during the 2023 season. One of those guys trying to keep him in check as far as that scrambling. Will be one of the top pass rushers in the Canadian Football League in his second stint here with the Stamps. One Flo Orimolade.
Dave Dickinson, his 9th season as head coach of the Stampeders. The last 2, the ones he'd like to forget about with losing records, missed the playoffs for the first time in 20 years. His first time in his CFL career as player and coach. And Bob Dice, fond memories of coming to Calgary as head coach of the RedBlacks. They have won here in each of the last 2 years on the very last play of the game. That's Eric Brooks back for the kick return, one of the Stampeders there. Ottawa won the toss. They deferred, and that decision more significant on a day like today. The wind's a factor too. There's Richie Leone to get this game doubleheader Saturday. Kicked off here at McMahon Stadium in Calgary against the Elements 2. On that return, it is Eno Benjamin back there with Brooks, and he gets it up across to about the 42 where Calgary will go to work. And Benjamin remains down after the tackle on that opening kickoff. Inserted into the Stampeder lineup this week as a reserve running back and also, of course, on special teams.
Yeah, I'll take a look at the tail end of that one, just see if we can tell what happened to Benjamin here on his first play in the Canadian Football League. Maybe that right leg getting caught under teammate Nicky Farinaccio at the end of the play.
So one play in and Benjamin getting some help off the field. So on the field, Vernon Adams, new to the Stampeders this year. Of course, he had been with BC before that, Montreal before that. No touchdown passes yet, but the most important thing, 2 victories for Adams and his new team.
Yeah, and I feel that Vernon Adams' impact on the Calgary Stampeders can't be measured on the stats sheet. You talk to people around this organization, and so much of the feeling here is about the positivity and just the sense of team, the cultural impact that Vernon Adams has had in his short time here, I think has been significant and very important to this team.
Got off to a great start with the BC Lions last year. They started at 5-1. He got hurt and later lost his job when Nathan Rourke came back and ultimately traded here to Calgary. But yes, a 2-0 beginning, and look for him to run. He's not afraid to. He's a rushing touchdown this season. Last week against Toronto, throwing there. And that one out for a pickup about 2-3 yards is Jalen Philpott, the leading receiver for Calgary so far this year.
And taking a look at this Calgary Stampeder offense, the rookie first-round pick Christopher Fortin gets his first career start. He's in at center this week for an injured Bryce Bell. You just saw Jalen Philpott, first touch of the game for him. He comes in as Calgary's leading receiver. Looking for a big year here in 2025, his 4th year in the Canadian Football League.
Philpott out left. Dedrick Mills is the running back. Has 4 touchdowns so far this season. Stays in to protect. It's hit at the line of scrimmage and up there for grabs. But no Red Black defender could get close enough to it. So a 2-and-out, though, and a good start for the Ottawa defense as Calgary will be forced to punt it away.
Pressure off the edge. Adams looking to throw to the perimeter here. Frankie Griffin and his return to this Red Blacks lineup.
New punter Fraser Mazin to kick this one away and trying to angle it out inside the 15 in the air, but does not. So you see the flag come out for that reason. So an advantage for the Red Blacks after a 44-yard punt by Mazin, the Australian. And here comes Dustin Crum. Fond memories of 2 years ago in just his second CFL start. What a great start he had. 2 of his 14 that year was a victory in overtime over the Stampeders here at McMahon.
Dustin Crum very quickly made a reputation for himself.
Illegal punt out of bounds, Calgary. 10-yard penalty, first down.
Crum quickly making a reputation for himself as a scrambler, as a running quarterback very early in his career. Hadn't had a chance to develop a lot of understanding of CFL defenses as a passer at that time.
Really was thrown into the fire 2 years ago. Well, there's an opening, and the run there by Daniel Adeboboye, new running back this season after 3 years in Toronto. Adeboboye with a good pickup on first down on the ground.
Yeah, nice start for Ottawa, a team that came into this 2025 season really looking to establish the ground game as one of its strengths. We've talked throughout this season about the off-season acquisitions of 2 power runners in William Stanback coming from BC, Daniel Adeboboye from Toronto.
Adeboboye stays in behind Dustin Crum, second down and short. Back to him. Cuts back over the middle and has the first down. Couple of carries out of Adeboboye as the sticks will move for the Red Blacks.
And taking a look at this Ottawa offense, youngster Darte Lee starts at right tackle. So he'll see a lot of Arimolade and Hicks coming off the edges. Braylon Addison, leading receiver for Ottawa thus far. Best start of his career, second best start of his career.
So a couple of running plays, and by the way, Ottawa is going against the wind. It is blowing left to right, at times gusting very strong. Play action fake, short pass, it's complete. The rookie Keelan White has it, and White takes it into the Calgary zone down around the Stampeders 51. And another first down for Ottawa.
Yeah, I love a little bit of the misdirection on this play, including getting a receiver out in the flat, pulls coverage to open things up for the rookie Keelan White. Closer to the inside, number 3 overall pick in this year's CFL draft.
Down around the 51 Stampeders. And Crum rolls away. The Stampeder defender couldn't get him. He's got lots of room for another first down. We've come to know this from Dustin Crum, his ability with his legs to make something happen. And there gets out to the right. And a pickup of 13 more yards for an impressive start for this Ottawa offense.
And you're going to see as soon as Dustin Crum comes off that play action fake, you recognize Clarence Hicks, the end, is caught to the inside. Crum, seeing plenty of turf in front of him, makes a decision quickly to use his legs to pick up that first down.
Down to the Calgary 38. Against the breeze here for Ottawa. And a whistle blows for a time count violation.
Ottawa number 18. 5-yard penalty. Remains first down.
Defensively for Calgary, keep an eye on the aforementioned Clarence Hicks. I think he's got a chance to become a pretty good bookend there opposite Falarin Arimolade. We expect to see Micah Tights getting a number of snaps at middle linebacker, with leading tackler Markel Lee out of the lineup today. And Adrian Green, first-year Stampeder, former BC Lion, big game last week with 2 INTs against Toronto, including a pick 6.
Had that one early, first touchdown of the game for the Stampeders last week. Crum takes off again. Gets it down around the 30 inside, and he is hit there by Jacob Roberts, pushing him out of bounds, but another good pickup on the running of Dustin Crum, and about 15 yards.
And again, different element Dustin Crum brings to the table. You know, Drew Brown, not necessarily noted as a scrambler. Matthew Schiltz, a guy who's got that athleticism, but really picks his spots. When you look at Dustin Crum, the running has been a big part of his game.
He is their short yardage quarterback too. It's short yardage here is familiar territory for Crum as he lunges forward and gets the first down. He had just about 15 before on that play. So the drive continues, moving along nicely here. Dustin Crum, no starts last year. He had 14 starts in his first year coming out of Kent State in 2023. His last one 603 days ago against the Argos late in the season back in October of 23.
Yeah, and I think when you look at how long it's been since he's been the starter, it's not an indication of Ottawa not being happy with what he did in 23 or his progress. He was thrown into the fire that year.
He really was. He was their 4th QB in training camp. That one intended for Anthony Gosselin. It falls incomplete. Second down coming up.
And head coach Bob Dice spoke with us this week about the development of Dustin Crum as a quarterback, and particularly as a passer, and understanding his reads better, understanding those progressions better. He didn't have an opportunity back in 23 to really learn those things. He was learning on the fly. He was learning while facing live bullets. It wasn't the plan. It was just the way that season unfolded.
Down to the 26 of Calgary. Impressive drive into the wind for the RedBlacks to open up this game. Throwing again, and no. Had an open receiver in Keelan White, but he couldn't hang on to it, so incomplete. So now we get third down coming up, and the kicker, Lewis Ward, as Crum leads that offense down into scoring range. Yeah,
White working from the outside is just going to hook up around the defender. And, you know, a big part of his reputation is you wonder about the conditions. Driving rain down there, wet football. Keelan White, very sure-handed guy. That was a huge part of his reputation in college at the University of Montana.
Lewis Ward's last kick here was for the win a year ago. This is 33.5 yards out against the wind. He kept it lower and drove it through. And so points to show for what Ottawa's offense did. As the ball go back into the hands of Vernon Adams, a junior for the 2-0 Calgary Stampeders. Trailing 3-0 here early at McMahon Stadium. Back here in Calgary, and yeah, the weather is part of the story. 3-0 Ottawa lead, but there's Eno Benjamin. Good to see that he is fine after getting hurt in the opening play of this game and that first kickoff by Ottawa. But fans braving the elements coming out on a chilly day, about 8 degrees at kickoff with lots of rain. As Richie Leone from the Ottawa 30. And that 3-point lead heading Benjamin's way again at the 32. Eno Benjamin spinning around and finally tackled just around the 40. Vernon Adams, take a closer look at him too, and that 2-0 start for the Stampeders. Junior did last week in Toronto at BMO Field against the Argos. No touchdown passes, Dwayne, but some decent numbers. He did make some big plays.
Yeah, and you see part of it being extending plays and extending drives with his legs. A couple of clutch passes along the way for Vernon Adams. Starting to develop some chemistry with a few of his receivers. I know his favorite target thus far, as mentioned, has been Jalen Philpott. I would anticipate Philpott being one of the guys who will pick up a lot of the slack here with Reggie Begelton going on the 6-game injured list this week.
Adams, Dwayne, so far has rushed 10 times for 87 yards. That's Dedrick Mills, their top running back, and a good pickup left side as he gets it up near midfield. A gain of 11 and a first down for Calgary.
Both teams enjoying a little bit of early success on the ground. Nice job getting the guard. Zach Williams around. He's got the kick out block there. Leading the way for Dedrick Mills. Ground game, a big part of Calgary's success in week 1.
And he leads the way in terms of touchdowns, too. He had 3 against Hamilton here a couple of weeks ago and 1 last week against the Argos in that victory. 1st and 10, Calgary 53, back to Mills. And a little tougher going there after 1, maybe 2 yards. Trying to push his way through to midfield.
On this Ottawa defense, front 4, a big strength for them. Keep an eye in particular on the interior, and Mike Wakefield, who led the team in sacks a year ago. Mentioned earlier, Frankie Griffin making his 2025 debut after spending the first couple weeks on the injured list. Former Saskatchewan Rough Rider Amari Henderson, one of the off-season acquisitions. He's going to start at field halfback for the RedBlacks.
Right at midfield in a 2nd down and 8. Adams scrambling around on the move, gets rid of it. Wide open receiver to another first down. And that is caught by the ex-Ottawa RedBlack, Dominique Grimes, with his first catch as a Stampeder against his old team after 2 go-rounds in Ottawa, and that's where his home is as well. But he gets that catch for Calgary.
Yeah, and we mentioned Vernon Adams Jr. using his legs to extend plays when things break down a little bit, still able to turn into something positive. Grimes along that sideline, obviously very familiar with that aspect of Adams' game from their time together in BC, knows he's got to stay alive, and Vernon will find him.
First down inside the 35, little pump fake. Flushed out, Adams taking off. He just slides just across the 30. Couldn't find any receivers open. Gain of 3 yards for Calgary. 2nd down coming up.
Yeah, good protection initially. But as mentioned, not really seeing anything coming open. VA makes a quick decision to tuck that football.
Both of these quarterbacks starting today, Adams, a veteran, and Crum just in his 3rd year, both known for making something happen if the pocket breaks down. Great running ability. Take off Adams on 2nd down and 7. Again under pressure. Javon Santos Knox missed him the first time, nearly got him the second, but then get some help in there. Daniel Apoco's in there, and Frankie Griffin as well. And the RedBlacks coming up with their first sack of quarterback Vernon Adams, and a 3rd down coming up. And Mufta Jelly, the rookie, 75, in on that play as well.
Yeah, Mufta Jelly getting some snaps at defensive tackle in the early going here. Fourth-round pick for the RedBlacks this season. Played most of his college career at the University of Windsor. Spent his first 3 years with the Lancers when played his final season at Northwestern Oklahoma State.
And the Stampeder down is running back Jeshrin Antwi. Right there blocking for Adams. And it's Santos Knox, Dwayne, just on his right leg.
That right leg getting rolled up on.
Jeshrin Antwi played his college football here at the University of Calgary and back home, but injured at McMahon. We'll take a break and be back. 2 years ago, Dustin Crum's first 2 CFL starts were one for the ages. First, a comeback, or they called it the Crumback in Ottawa. 16 points down in 2.5 minutes. They tied it. They went to overtime, and he won it on that play. The next week in Calgary, high-scoring game, and that went to overtime as well, winning it there on the last play. Let's head down to the sidelines and say hello to Chantel Chan.
Yeah, Dustin Crum, he obviously got the start today, and when I spoke to Coach Bob Dice, he said that he earned his start and he really liked what he showed through training camp. He said another factor of his start is the fact that he did have 15 career starts in the CFL, so he likes the experience, and at the same time, he's been in this system for about 2 years now. Guys?
Hey, Chantel, thank you. And also, what an indoctrination for you. Leaving BC Place, where you've done, most of our CFL coverage, and coming here in this kind of weather. You're a trooper. Dwayne and I are comfy up here in the booth.
I'm sure you are. I mean, the rain is rain. I'm a West Coast girl, but the wind, it's not appreciated. Guys.
Wind and a little chillier. Thank you. Stay warm. Okay. And on that miss by Rene Paredes, Devontae Dedmon brings it out. And a rare miss for that guy, one of the greatest kickers in the history of the Canadian Football League, but doesn't get it there. And no points there for Calgary.
During the return, holding Ottawa number 23. Half the distance to the goal, 1st down.
So this one hurts double for Ottawa in terms of the field position, not getting the return that they obviously hoped with the decision to bring it out of the end zone, but then now a penalty that backs them right up underneath their goalpost.
So yeah, no points for Calgary, but in terms of field position, this is good for the Stampeders if they can stop that Ottawa offense straight down at the 1. Ottawa offense that looked good on their last possession, opening things up with a drive down to get a field goal going against the breeze here. Williams Stanback in beside Dustin Crum. In his end zone, tossing it out, incomplete. No receiver really close. It was past Justin Hardy, so big 2nd down and 10 coming up here for Ottawa.
Yeah, and that one, a throwaway for Crum. Again, very limited options given the field position. Had to get that one out of his hands, as obviously you can't take a sack down here because it would be a safety.
Week 3. Ottawa started with losses in Saskatchewan and then at home against Montreal last week. Calgary opened up with a victory at home over Hamilton and then another one in Toronto last week. From his end zone. Crum, pressure, down, and a safety. Jalen Hutchings with the sack of Crum and put 2 points on the board for the Calgary Stampeders. Who'll be getting the ball as well.
Yeah, dangerous territory on the field to be in this 2nd and long situation, a 2nd and 10. Calgary front able to pin back their ears and just get after it. Combination of Hutchings and Miles Brown on the inside. Big fella, Jalen Hutchings, second-year man out of Texas Tech. Puts a couple of points on the board for the Stampeder D.
And Richie Leone is out, and he will be kicking it from the Red-Black 20 after that safety. And consider again a gusting wind, at times picking up stronger. Looks to be picking up a little bit now. So not only does Calgary get the 2 points, they get the ball, and they should get decent field position as well. Here in the first quarter, under 5 minutes to go until quarter time. And they're both taking on the elements too, to be sure, on a chilly, rainy, late June afternoon at McMahon Stadium. The kick from Leone stayed low and off the hop. It is Benjamin with it, and wanders up close to the 50 before he takes a hit. So a good place for Vernon Adams Jr. to start again and see if they can drive down and get more points on the board.
Vernon Adams Jr. very quickly undisputed leader in this Calgary offensive unit. You see his starts to the season of 2023 and 2025, some pretty similar looking numbers there through 2 games.
Starting up at the 48 for Adams. With time. Down to the left, and open is Clark Barnes, his first catch of the afternoon. Down to the Ottawa 35 from the third-year product of the University of Guelph. Barnes with a 27-yard catch.
Yeah, Clark Barnes on the outside here, playing into the boundary. You have the corner, C.J. Colton playing deep to the inside, allowing Barnes to just hang out wide. Adams making that read early. Those two hooked up on a bomb in week 1.
Handing off in the draw to Dedrick Mills. Tied up a bit, but still pushes down inside the 30, so a good pickup on first down. Let's talk about that Stampeder receiving core and missing Reggie Begelton. Suffered a broken leg very early in the game last week in Toronto.
Yeah, just got tangled up with an Argo defender.
Ball came out.
Pop out there. Dedrick Mills able to quickly fall on it. The Stamps pressing once again.
Dedrick Mills in his 3rd year in the CFL out of Nebraska. So a 2nd and 5 after that pickup. Faking to Mills, rolling to the right. Adams taking off, first down, more. 15, finally knocked down around the 13. Another good pickup on the legs of Vernon Adams Jr. 17 more yards for Calgary.
Taking advantage of all his strengths. You saw all the flow going left to right on your screen. Adams flying solo, takes it back the other way on his own. Nice block there. I believe it was Jalen Philpott who sealed the edge to allow Adams to get around the corner.
Gets it down to the 13. 1-point game, 3-2. Hockey-type score early in this one, but here comes Calgary. Takes to Mills quickly. Off to Tevin Jones. First-year Stampeder. Former Elk last year and Rough Rider before that. And Jones with the pickup as Calgary gets closer now and a gain of 6 more yards.
Tevin Jones, he and Dominique Grimes coming in during the free agency period. A nice recovery on that one to turn it into a positive play, but Calgary definitely adding some size to that receiving core.
As the rain keeps coming down here at McMahon from the Ottawa 7. A look to the end zone. Adams deep and right past the dead ball line looking for Philpott. And the coverage there for Ottawa was good. So we got a 3rd and 4 coming up now for the Stampeders.
Yeah, the pocket got a little bit tight there for Vernon Adams. It looked like Mills was a little bit late getting across in protection. Slid right and then had to recover back to the left and was sort of on the toes of his quarterback. You see Philpott down the middle of the field, picked up.
No sign of Paredes. Stampeders are going for it here, deep in the Ottawa zone. 3rd and 4 at the 7. Adams into the end zone. No. He had the open receiver. That was Barnes coming in a little low, and Barnes couldn't get the hands underneath it. So incomplete and a turnover on downs. They took the chance knowing Ottawa would have to start deep in their zone again. That close to a Calgary touchdown.
A missed opportunity there for Dave Dickinson, taking an aggressive approach, not wanting to go for the kick, but looking for the major here. Clark Barnes lined up on the outside. It's like a zone coverage from Ottawa with a couple of defenders giving a little bit of room. Barnes trying to come back to that football, just couldn't get his hands underneath it.
So the RedBlacks take over at their 7 and running on first down, still against the wind for another minute here in the first quarter. Pickup of 3 yards. Derek Moncrief, their strong side linebacker, now in Calgary, of course, many years in Saskatchewan and Edmonton as well.
Yeah, Derek Moncrief, a CFL All-Star in 2019. West Division All-Star in 2022 as well.
Second down and 7. Crum throwing, completing to Braylon Addison, who had a big catch to set up the winning field goal here a year ago from Jeremiah Masoli. Just got them close enough for a 51-yarder, and Addison has been a real great weapon so far offensively for Ottawa in the first 2 games.
Yeah, Braylon Addison, we talked to him a little bit this week about having battled through some injuries over the past few seasons, but really feeling that he's got his confidence back, and not confidence as a football player per se, but just confidence in his body, and that those injuries are completely healed, that he doesn't have to think about it. It's no longer in the back of his mind, and I think it's showed in his early season production.
Well, Bob Dice has changed his mind because the offense had stayed out. Addison didn't quite get enough for the first down. That would have been some gamble with a yard to go against the wind and so deep in their zone. So the punting unit instead comes on. But Dice had thought about it. Richie Leone now to punt against that breeze, standing back at his 2. And it's Eno Benjamin, the lone Stampeder back, and on Ottawa's side of midfield too. So another good chance for the Stampeders here. This is the last play of the first quarter, and that's a nice punt under the considerations here, and that got bobbled there. It was loose for Benjamin, but he does pick it up. And a 34-yarder into that stiff breeze. Newcomer Eno Benjamin hanging on to that football, and Calgary will take over in the Ottawa zone to start the second quarter. It is cold, it is windy, it is rainy. It's always a good day for football, though. And it's the RedBlacks leading by 1 through the first 50. A look at the numbers through the first quarter here at McMahon Stadium. The kind of score, Dwayne, you might expect on a day like this where the weather is such a factor. A lot of rushing, but certainly there have been scoring chances. You wonder how much, especially the rain, the wet field has to do with this.
Yeah, you're seeing both teams struggling a little bit, I think, handling the football. We've seen a couple of drops with guys battling that moisture may be a contributing factor. But I think one of the things that's interesting when you look statistically, time of possession pretty even, not big offensive numbers per se for either team, but Calgary having held something of an edge in terms of field position over the last few exchanges of possession. Unable to capitalize as yet, but getting another opportunity here after the Richie Leone punt from deep in his own territory.
And as the result of that, they take over at the Ottawa 46 against the wind now. Second quarter begins. Is Dedrick Mills, and driving down to about the 41. But you're right, there have been drops you know, on both sides here that could have either resulted in points or got them a little closer to it. But it is just this kind of game, and easier for us to talk about it in the comfort of the booth now. The weather doesn't seem to be that much of a factor for us right now.
Yeah, well, we know how wet we got on a very short walk from the parking lot to the stadium doors. It just has not let up at all here.
No, it hasn't. Still coming down. 2nd and 5. On the ground again. Mills, no. Santos Knox has him wrapped up, and it'll be a 2 and out. And as said, they're against the wind. We watched Rene Paredes warming up from around 47 going this way, and it was tough to just reach the goalposts.
As I said, Dedrick Mills was sort of the centerpiece of this Calgary offense in their Week 1 victory. You know, and I think one of the things we're seeing with both of these teams is when you have a quarterback who has some mobility, some of the things you can do if you have success with that run game. Start building your play action, your RPOs, etc.
So instead of trying the 47-yarder, they do punt. It is Fraser Mazin, and the Aussie with a short one there against that wind. And a flag comes out because it goes out of bounds just well beyond, of course, the 15. It had to be inside that, so a penalty against Calgary, too. This was in Calgary 2 years ago with Dustin Crum starting. And that was the winning pass right there on a 2-point conversion. And then this was last year in Calgary. Ottawa won back-to-back games, a Lewis Ward field goal, and a win for Jeremiah Masoli, by the way, in his first start in a long, long time. So back-to-back positive memories for Bob Dice here in Calgary the last 2 years on the final play.
Yeah, a little bit traumatic maybe for the coach's liking, but definitely happy with the outcome and looking to keep that streak alive today with Ottawa looking for their first win of the 2025 season.
That's what Ottawa's done in the last 2 times they've ventured to McMahon Stadium. Deep shot here on the play action fake. That is too far for Khalil Pimpleton, the targeted receiver. And he was just getting in behind a little too much on it for Dustin Crum with the wind at his back.
And as this second quarter started, I was talking about what had gone on in terms of field position in Calgary, having really gained an edge in that field position battle, trying to take advantage of that and put up some points. With that last Fraser Mazin punt into the wind, so the ball sort of hung up and almost blew back a little bit, but also with the penalty because the ball went out of bounds before reaching the Ottawa 15-yard line. It was a net change in field position of -2.
-2
for Calgary on the punt.
They were at the Ottawa 40. You're right, and RedBlacks start this one at their 42 after the punt. And that one falls incomplete, intended for Addison. So 2 longer passes for Crum. Their first time with the wind at their back, but they're both incomplete. And the second 2 and out for Ottawa, and this time Richie Leone at least has the advantage of the breeze to punt this one.
Yeah, and you know, we always think about the wind being such an advantage offensively, but I think it negatively impacted Dustin Crum on that first deep pass attempt as it sailed a little bit on him.
Oh, he lost control of the ball in this wet weather, and he did well to get something for it. And a flag does come out as well as he just boots a low one down into the Calgary zone around the 40 as it hops along. Lost the handle, did Richie Leone. Got something away, and a flag down on the field as well. 3-2 Ottawa with the lead. Calgary with the ball. Cold, wind, rain, and we've got some evidence as well. Slick conditions, and it showed up in a few plays, Dwayne.
Yeah. Ball popping out a little more easily, tough to handle off the snaps, whether you're a quarterback or, as we saw in the last play, a punter, some tough footing down around the field. Richie Leone on that last one, fortunate that Cedric Wilcott, the approaching rusher, couldn't keep his footing as he got there.
Calgary better place to start after a penalty, though, for a legal man downfield on that punt. Adams coughs it up, turns it over, Ottawa ball. You're just talking about the slick conditions, and that's Amari Henderson who says thank you as it goes squirting out of Adams' hands and into the RedBlacks, who will take over in Calgary's end of the field.
Yeah, a whole lot of play kind of between the 50-yard lines between these two teams the last few minutes. Here Adams again. He's had some success running the ball today. Decides he's going to try and take off with this one. I believe it was Adrian Fry. Not sure who had the initial contact to pop that ball loose, but yeah, definitely Amari Henderson with the recovery.
So they start at midfield now. Off the fake, Crum takes off. He runs with it and has a good carry as well for a first down. Flag comes out, though, back at the Stampeder 50 during the Crum run. To gain of 14 yards for the Ottawa quarterback.
Illegal block. Ottawa number 2. 10-yard penalty. Repeat first down.
From the referee, Tom Valesi, it's the receiver, Justin Hardy, who's called for the illegal block on that Crum run. So that gain is negated as Ottawa's pushed back.
So Justin Hardy, third receiver from the bottom of your screen. Flag for the illegal block there as he appeared to catch Micah Tights on the back.
First down and 20 after the penalty. The throw off to the right, no. Keelan White can't hang on to that with the defender quickly charging in as well. It falls incomplete. A 2nd and 20 coming up here. That was Jaden Grant, new member of the Calgary secondary, coming in quickly on White.
Yeah, Crum trying to get this ball out on the perimeter. You see again, tough one to handle for White as he's trying to get control of it. Adrian Green getting just enough of him or the football to ensure that it wasn't a catch.
Adrian Green, you talked about it, had the interception for a touchdown last week in Toronto, and another pick for the former BC Lion, product of St. Mary's. 3-man rush. That's it for Crum. Getting chased down by Fouth Quarter, but he got away and picks up a few more yards up to the 50, still well shy of a first down, just to pick up a 4. So a 3rd and long, and Leone's going to come back on. The last one, when he tried to punt, squirted through his hands.
I think to myself all the time with Fouth, this is a guy, we always talk about his ability to bend the edge, to kind of make that as tight a turn as possible around the tackle as he tries to get to the quarterback. And yeah, I keep thinking I'd love to see this guy run the curve on a 200-meter dash.
Love to see that. There's the punt by Leone, 48-yarder. And the return there by Eric Brooks out of bounds. Dominic Rhymes up against his old team. Had a couple of stints with the RedBlacks. Calls Ottawa home, but is feeling right at home here at McMahon Stadium. Had a catch earlier in this game. Dominic Rhymes in his 8th year, his 3rd team. You see what he did his first go around in Ottawa, 1,000 yards in a BC in 2022. And last year when he was back in Ottawa, now against them. Let's go back to Chantel.
Yeah, Dominic Rhymes and Vernon Adams Jr. have been reunited, and had a chance to speak with Dom. And we talked about if they had a conversation when they found out they were going to be reunited. And he told me that they've actually always kept in touch, but at the same time, he feels like God brought them back together, and he said that they still have some unfinished business. He mentioned that when they were with BC that he ended up getting hurt, so they didn't get to finish out the season together. And he definitely wishes that this season they can really do some damage together. He also mentioned that he has a lot to prove because he feels like his departure from Ottawa, there might be some doubters there. Guys?
Chantel, thank you. Boy, she came prepared too, eh? He's got the umbrella going and the rain gear and all set. She's used to the comforts of BC Place, where part 2 of the doubleheader will be later today here on TSN with Kate in the panel out in Vancouver as well. After a gain of 10, This drive continues, and right side, Diedrich Mills breaking some tackles, getting up to the 48 of Calgary, and another Stampeder first down.
Gotta love those yards after contact, but nice job on the edge. Starts off as a double team with right tackle Joshua Coker and the fullback William Longley. Longley bounces it outside, and Diedrich Mills takes care of anyone left unaccounted for in this blocking scheme, running through a couple of would-be tacklers.
Back to 26. Why not on that draw? Mills, big gain again. He's still chugging along down near the RedBlack 35. Biggest gain on the ground. Diedrich Mills, 27 more yards. Calgary driving against this wind.
Yeah, Diedrich Mills starting to get on a little bit of a roll. Dom Rhymes from the backfield takes a pretty good shot there from Frankie Griffin, but occupies the defender nonetheless. You know, we've seen a couple of those fisherman type celebrations from the Calgary Stampeders.
Yeah.
I suspect in tribute to avid fly fisherman Reggie Begelton.
Yeah, that's his signature move, and you see the Stamps paying tribute to their teammate suffering that broken leg last week against the Argos. Drive continues. Why not back to Mills, but it's tougher sledding that time. Takes a couple of pops. Santos Knox, the latest to come in, and actually a loss of a yard that time.
And Diedrich Mills will get a well-deserved break over on the Stampeder sideline after a couple of big runs there. Carrying the load for this Calgary offense on this possession.
So now the running back in is Eno Benjamin, 33, getting his first taste of CFL action. Saw him on special teams and setting up a screen to Benjamin. 35, 30, and tripped up down close to a first down. Adrian Fry got him and just prevented the first down there as he's shy by a yard, but a good pickup on that play to Eno Benjamin.
Yeah, and Benjamin gets on the roster this week quite directly as you see him to the right of Vernon Adams in the backfield. He comes on the roster directly because of the injury to Reggie Begelton. Calgary elected not to bring on another receiver, but Eric Brooks, their primary return man who filled in for Begelton last week, staying in as receiver.
Third down, about a yard. And on the keeper, P.J. Walker, short yardage QB, gets it down to about the 10. Walker, who scored a touchdown here a couple of weeks ago in short yardage, that time with a big first down and a gain of 16.
You don't see a lot of cutback runs in the short yardage game, but P.J. Walker gives you one here, stretches it to the outside. Saw that the middle linebacker, Javon Santos Knox, had over-pursued that one a little bit, anticipating that he was going to try and get to the edge, and Walker, nice awareness there to sort of bend it back, hit the gap.
So a first down. Adams, hands off, Mills again, left side, down to the 5, spinning, gets to about the 4-3-yard line.
The ground game serving Calgary well here in the second quarter. At the center, Chris Fortin getting out front on the pull that time.
So gets it down to the 4. That was right from the 10. Goal to go. Second and goal here for Calgary. No touchdowns yet in this game, and a 3-2 Ottawa lead in jeopardy right now. Stampeders knocking on the door. The handoff again. Pushing. And down near the goal line. Just a bit shy for Mills as we got a big third down coming up here.
This will bring P.J. Walker back into the game with the short yardage unit.
Adams leading a good drive and hoping they can cap it off here with a touchdown just beyond the 1. P.J. Walker Mentioned one rushing touchdown for him so far this season. Steps back and then goes to move up, and it didn't look like he got it. So once again, that's Adrian Fry, second time in this half that the RedBlacks have forced a turnover on downs, and the third turnover committed by the Calgary Stampeders. They got close. Still no touchdown to show for it for Walker and the Stamps.
A big defensive play there for the Ottawa RedBlacks. Watch Adrian Fry on the outside. He's an unblocked man in this scheme. Everybody's wedging towards the middle, so end man is free, and he just takes a tight angle off the edge to shut things down.
He's made some big defensive plays so far this year for the RedBlacks. So William Stanback, I haven't been mentioning his name in this game, but has a good push there on that carry, 9 yards to get him a little further removed from their goal line. Stanback came over from the BC Lions, of course, after several years in Montreal.
Given the weather conditions and I mean, some of the challenges in handling the football, wouldn't be a surprise to see a little more Stanback here.
Crum stays in short yardage as well, and looks like he has enough to pick that up and move the sticks for the Ottawa RedBlacks, who are hanging on to a 1-point lead on this rainy day here at McMahon Stadium, where the weather has definitely been a factor.
Again, Dustin Crum making his first start since the end of the 2023 season.
He was fourth on the depth chart behind Jeremiah Masoli, Nick Arbuckle, Tyree Adams to start the season. Masoli wasn't ready to go. It was Arbuckle giving way to Adams, who got hurt, and Masoli got hurt. And then Crum came in, and they run the ball effectively again there, getting it up across the 25. Williams stand back and another first down. But yes, Crum ended up starting 14 games that year in 2023 for the RedBlacks.
And we're seeing both teams here having some very positive moments running the football. Darius Bladek, that time pulling guard, leading the way through the hole for William Stanback.
We got 14 yards there from that rush. The Stanback suddenly now with 3 carries, 26 yards. Back to him, trying to find his way through. He actually does. I don't know how he got through there, as he ends up getting another 5 yards when it looked like he might be stopped for a loss. Last play before the 3-minute warning in this cold, wet day at McMahon Stadium. A 1-point RedBlacks lead.
Coming up at the half, it's all weather all the time in Calgary. But man, it is really nice here in BC Place. I mean, I haven't felt rain. The weather's perfect under the dome.
A little chilly, no?
No, perfect temperatures.
Smitty, I'll take this.
How you guys do? Actually, poor Chantel. Chantel is who I feel for.
Enjoy it, Kate. From the comforts of the studio to the comforts of BC Place. And we are late in the first half. And a good catch there, Khalil Pimpleton. Targeted earlier, but went too far, and he has that catch on the first down, or they do move the sticks. And late in the first half, here comes Ottawa.
Khalil Pimpleton up on the line of scrimmage. It's a clearing route on the outside. Quick hitter, common combination of routes with that outside release go route on the outside.
From the 39 and a 1st and 10. Running again, running well. William Stanback had a big hole when he cut it back and made the most of that. Another running first down across midfield. 2.5 minutes to go until halftime.
And the ground attack proving to be the way to go here in the second quarter for both of these teams. Ottawa, with the ball in the hands of William Stanback, chewing up some big chunks of yardage.
William Stanback, we'd hardly mention his name. He has 46 yards rushing on this drive. Across midfield. Calgary 53. Back to 31. More running for William Stanback down to the 35. He's got something going on in that Ottawa RedBlacks offensive line, too, with 18 more yards for Ottawa in business at 2:09 to go.
Yeah, and I'll reiterate with both of these teams, given the guys that they have at quarterback, Crum for Ottawa, Adams for Calgary, QBs who can run with the rock. Now that the running backs are rolling, if the defenses adjust by starting to collapse on those running backs, look for these QBs to pull the ball and start to attack the perimeter themselves.
Another good hole opened up on the left side of that RedBlacks offensive line. 2 minutes exactly. 1st and 10, Calgary 35. Daniel Adeboboye's turn with the ball, pushing it down close to the Calgary 30. Took a gain about 4 yards for Adeboboye.
One of the things I love about seeing this from Ottawa in particular is allowing their offensive line to get in a little bit of a groove, get a little bit of a confidence going here. They've been absolutely battered by injuries in the early part of this season. 4 Canadian offensive linemen are on the injured list for Ottawa to start the season, and that's after the preseason retirement of Dante Bull, the former #1 overall pick. But Jacob Ruby and the rest of this crew doing a terrific job moving the line of scrimmage.
Ruby getting that start again at center because of the injury to Peter Godfrey. With time, Crum throwing. It is caught. Keelan White with it. And the rookie RedBlack has it down inside the Calgary 15. Ottawa, some momentum now. The 1-point lead and looking for more with 1.5 to go.
Yeah, terrific drive put together here by Dustin Crum, spearheaded by William Stanback in that O-line.
A 17-yard gain. Impressive drive here for Ottawa. Down to the Calgary 14. Faking the handoff to Addison. Soft toss into the end zone. Too far. Looking for Eugene Lewis. First time he's targeted. And Tyler Richardson was right with him as the ball went too far.
And this is exactly the kind of thing we talked about. You're going to get Addison up the middle. Crum keeps the ball and gets around the edge. He's got time, looking for Gino Lewis on the outside. But that run fake, you see the end of Rimolade comes down hard on the run fake to Addison.
A 95-yard drive after the turnover on downs when Calgary couldn't punch it into the end zone. What a swing of momentum here. Crum with time. End zone! No! Looking for Lewis, who had his long touchdown streak end last week against the Alouettes after 9 straight games going back to last year with a touchdown. Had a shot there, but no, 3rd down.
And you see the frustration there from Gino Lewis as he knows he had a shot at that one. Got through the hands and into the body. He was just unable to trap it.
And add that to the reel of misplays in these slick conditions. What should have been a touchdown pass for Dustin Crum and another TD for Eugene Lewis, who points to himself, says, "My bad." Lewis Ward on for the field goal try. Just outside the 20. And Ward puts it through, and it's this kind of game in these conditions. Ottawa opening up a 4-point lead, 6-2 still. No touchdown scored in this first half, and it's late.
Yeah, but no shortage of opportunities for either of these two teams. You know, I mean, that broken connection between Crum and Lewis, the most recent, but you think about a couple of goal line stands by the Ottawa defense where it looked like Calgary was on the verge of scoring touchdowns.
Both of these teams have reason to think they should have a lot more to show for the scores right now. 6-2 RedBlacks Calgary ball. On the ground, Diedrich Mills. And he is tied up nicely there. Daniel Opoco in on the tackle for the RedBlacks.
Yeah, we've seen the RedBlacks with 2 other young Canadian defensive linemen. Opoco there, moved to Ajeli a little bit earlier in this ball game, getting an opportunity. Those guys learning from the great veteran Cleon Lang, that defensive tackle position. Opoco, the 11th overall pick in the draft last year.
Second down and long. Adams handing off again to Dedrick Mills. And he takes a pop coming in. Santos Knox shy of the 50 and what he needed for the first down. So we get a third down coming up here for Calgary. About 2 yards shy, up at around their 48.
It looks like it's going to be the punt team for Calgary after seeing that spot. Under the radar lineup change for the Calgary Stampeders in this one. Wilfrid Laurier product Jason McGugan making his CFL debut with an injury to the Stamps' longtime long snapper. The great veterans in the league, Aaron Crawford. Battle through injury last week to get through that game in Toronto.
So McGugan fires it back to Mazin. Gets that away to Devontae Dedmon, a 38-yard punt. Against the breeze up to about the 32 with halftime getting closer. 6 seconds to go on the clock as Crum comes back on. Kate, Enoch, and Ches in Chantel's stomping grounds, BC Place. And a comfortable place to bring the panel as they get set for part 2 of the doubleheader as well. But they'll have a lot to say about this one. In the elements, battling here in Calgary. Kate and the panel. And there, of course, for the later game, part 2 of the doubleheader when the Lions have a rematch against the Winnipeg Blue Bombers.
Our fair weather friends on the West Coast.
Dustin Crum and William Stanback really turned it on in that last drive as they went down, and they ended up with 3. So sustained a couple of drives that led to those field goals, even though he was only 4 for 12 for 43 yards. But some good running for Dustin Crum as well, Dwayne.
Yeah, and we certainly knew about Dustin Crum's mobility. It's kind of what put him on the map here in the Canadian Football League back in 2023. A couple of big runs for him early on in this one. Maybe not so much through the second quarter as William Stanback picked up some of the slack, but doing a nice job throwing the football. And we'll talk certainly more about his growth in that department in the second half, but just far from ideal weather conditions here for offensive football. But
yeah, and Dustin Crum, a couple of drops too, including one that would have been a touchdown. Here is Crum now with Chantel.
Dustin, it's your first start in 603 days. How are you feeling out there today?
It doesn't feel like 603 days, but it just feels good to have fun, play with the guys, and get out there and compete.
You guys have the lead, but how much has the weather conditions played into how you guys are trying to run the offense?
Yeah, it's definitely a little different than what you'd expect in mid-June, but just trying to fight through. Both teams are battling it, so it's no excuse. Just execute the best we can and take advantage of opportunities when they're given.
Good luck in the second half.
Thank you.
All right, let's get you back to Kate in the panel in warm, rainless BC Place.
And Chantel, as I said, I feel the absolute worst for you in this situation. It's not Dwayne, it's not Rod. I mean, you're the one there with the umbrella and the raincoat, but you're doing a heck of a job. And you know what? So are these two guys, because it's nice and warm and sunny. And welcome to British Columbia as we get set for the second half of the doubleheader between the Blue Bombers and the Lions. We'll get to that in a minute, but first, let's take a look at this game. And look, you saw Dustin Crum. Actually, you didn't really see him because there was a ton of rain on the lens, to be quite honest with you. But this game, I mean, we knew from the get-go this was going to be played on the ground. And William Stanback, by the way, he's got 76 in the game so far. But we knew that Dedrick Mills would be a factor, and he's already got 82 yards rushing. And this comes as absolutely no surprise, Ches.
Maybe what's so surprised is VA only having 8 attempts. But that's what you get when you get a weather game like this. You have to be able to hand the ball off and have trust. The key in any game is to have success on first down. And for these Stamps, I mean, they think they realized early the quick passing game just wasn't going to be there. The footing for these receivers just wasn't going to be there. Enoch, you know it's an advantage for the offense when you have footing like this. They know where they're going. It's always an advantage. So look for the second half, try to get some of these isolation plays, then get plays down the field, because it is an advantage for the offense when you have slippery conditions like this.
Absolutely. And I mean, look, as a linebacker, you enjoy these games because there's more contact. But at the end of the day, when you play in games like these, especially for the Ottawa RedBlacks, they're coming into this game. They were not the favorites. They're trying to capture their first win. But you cannot hurt yourself. The self-inflicted wounds are going to come to hurt. And so they have to be able to take care of the ball as best as possible. Some of the games that you get into, it's not really about who scores the most points. It's about who makes the least mistakes. Right now, you can't take a sack in the end zone. You see here Miles Brown taking Dustin Crum. Just get rid of the ball. And these little things, like you see Geno Lewis, we talk about the weather. This is something extremely rare. We never see Geno Lewis drop a football in the end zone, Kate.
No, when do we see Richie Leone ever bobble something either? But I mean, it is torrential, and the winds are getting up to 55 kilometers an hour. I mean, they are definitely in the trenches. And by the way, shout out to every fan who showed up to this game today, by the way. Those are the true fans of the CFL. By the way, speaking of true fans of the CFL, it was the Bombers who got the best of the Lions a week ago. The Lions trying to get the best of the Bombers. Coming up next, we got linebacker Micah Awe standing by. He's going to break this one down and tell you why BC is the bet today.
Canada Day weekend. Elks, Bombers on TSN.
As we've been telling you, we're getting set for the second half of our double header. Zach Claros, the first time we will see him this season after sitting out the first game, and Nathan Rourke dressing but not playing. So that means the veteran Jeremiah Masoli stepping in for the BC Lions. Speaking of the BC Lions, Micah Awe on our panel. And you know what? We've been going on the road a lot. I don't know if you've been watching, but we've just decided we're going to have live auditions at this point.
Let's do it.
So congratulations. If you're good enough, you're replacing Enoch.
Well, no.
Yes.
Talk to her.
There's always
There's too much camaraderie. There's too much camaraderie on the panel already.
Linebackers stick together.
Yeah, you're right. You know what, Chance? You're the odd man out today.
No, boundary corners.
I like golf.
You know what?
Golf anyway.
I need someone on offense at this point.
No, we can play quarterback.
In all seriousness, we look at last week's game, and you yourself personally played quite well. The 10 tackles were fantastic. And then you said after the game some very interesting quotes about art and about watching your D-line in front of you and just watching it on a different level this year. Just kind of explain that. And maybe that's a change with Mike Benavides as well, but just what's different this season for the BC Lions defensively?
I mean, to me, it's all about the players around you. I mean, Enoch knows that it's a team sport. I can't implore that enough. I've always played with really good D-linemen in front of me, but everyone always has like a superpower. You know, that's how I think of it. But the D-line in front of me this year, their superpower is physicality. And when you play the ball, the D-line physical like that, it allows me to play differently. It allows me to see the artwork in front of me differently. Because every linebacker in this league plays linebacker very well. We have a great linebacker across all 9 teams, but everyone plays it differently, depending on your height, your weight, the way you see things. And now, I mean, mid-game through last week, because the way Winnipeg plays, very physical, I had to change things up. I had to see the field differently as a quarterback would. And it started clicking. So today, I'm hoping to kind of work on my artwork, get the open canvas, and see what happens.
I love that. Hey, look, so you talking about the maturation, and Kate's asking about the team around you. I want to know about you. How's that growth been? How do you feel at this stage in your career right now, coming back to BC once more, being the middle linebacker and handling the game that you are? Because I'm seeing the maturation of Micah Awe. We've always seen you on the border, kind of almost crossing the line, but you're very much more controlled. Talk to us about that progression in your career.
Yeah, I mean, it's the kind of analogy comes to me is, you know, a young cobra versus an old cobra. You know, a young cobra, they got venom, and they go for a kill, and all the venom comes out. That's how it was my rookie year, and I'll never forget a quote. And I'll never forget a quote. I say the quote, but it's what Solly told me my rookie camp. We're in training camp going against our offense, and Jeremiah Johnson, I shoot the gap and A gap. I shoot, I'm like 5 yards deep. I miss it. And then Solly comes over and he says, Micah, come here. I'm like, what? He said, capture, don't kill. And I've never forgot that before. I forgot that. And it's like one of those things where, like, now I'm out here, I'm like, hey, sometimes you can go for the kill, But in this league, there's too good of athletes. You got to capture them. I did the same thing to Nick from Calgary when he was playing for Montreal. I tried to go and hit him, and he's about 220 pounds. I rolled right off him, and he's still talking about it last year when he was coaching me. So it's one of those things.
There's a lot of guys on offense that like to hear you say that right now because they're sick of you. They're sick of you.
They don't want to see him going 100 meters.
I've seen it a lot with you. There's a play happening game last night, and I want to ask you about it because when it comes to strikers in this game,
he's up there.
In the last decade, you've been the guy or one of the guys when it comes to striking. Hit on the quarterback and the head-to-head hit. Now, you see when there's impact, always the quarterback is crouching, ducking, and that's when a lot of the head-to-head combat comes. What's your take as a guy, as a hitter, as a middle linebacker, also a guy who loves the game and wants to take care of people? That's got to be a tough deal for you to watch, and how do we fix it?
Number one, I've probably played against, been with every single quarterback. So whenever there's a big hit, it's never personal. I mean, these guys are guys, I'm buddies with. It's a brotherhood out there. Number two, I have an engineering background, and I'm just going to tell the truth. When you're going towards a quarterback and the quarterback sees you coming, it's, number one, natural instinct to curl up and brace for impact.
Right.
Which lowers the strike zone.
It lowers the strike zone, and at the same time, things are going. Like, when you make a decision as a linebacker, as a corner,
it's hard to take it back.
It's hard. You put your foot in your ground, and you're going this way, and your initial standpoint is at his chest. But again, it's physics.
Does it feel almost impossible? Is it, last question, is it impossible?
It's very hard. I can't say impossible, never say never, but it's very hard. So
they need help.
Yeah, it's just hard. It's
Micah,
hard.
Engineering background, you gave us a Cobra analogy. You talked about artwork. Sir, you are hired. You are on the panel. I'm all for the all defense panel. I know I was really against it, but this was amazing. Send that to the Screen Awards. We'll be back. 6-2 ball game.
A light flex, huh? Engineering background, you know that.
I was like, I like how you jumped.
Halftime in Calgary on a cold, rainy, windy day that has certainly affected the score. The RedBlacks emerged from the dressing room with a 6-2 lead. And, that bears the numbers that the running game has become more important. For Calgary, Dedrick Mills with 12 carries and 82 yards. And he is standing by now with Chantel.
Dedrick, obviously the rain, the weather conditions, they've all made an impact on this game. How important will it be to try to continue to run the ball in the second half?
It's going to be very important, man. We just got to work on continue to have great ball security and just, keep our head down and run these plays that Coach called.
We've kind of noticed that a couple of you guys have been doing the fishing celly. How much of that is to kind of just give a shout out to a very important veteran on this team in Reggie Beggleton?
It's very important, man. He's led this team for many years, and it's very important that we show him love and let him know that we wish he was out here with us,
All right, thanks for doing this, and good luck in the second half.
Thank you.
Guys.
Thank you, Chantel, and a nice tribute there to Reggie Beggleton, injured with a broken leg last week in Toronto. All his teammates thinking of him. And yes, mentioning the Mills running 82 yards. William Stanback, Dwayne, just late in the half. He has 7 carries, 76. I guess no surprise, running game is looming large here.
Yeah, it took both teams a little while to get to it. But in the second half, that was certainly the story. We'll see if that continues here into the third.
And the Ottawa RedBlacks, mentioning off the top, they had won the toss and they deferred, knowing the wind could be a big factor here in the second half as well. And yes, they will go against the wind. They will kick off to start the second half. They want that wind heading home in the fourth quarter. With a 4-point lead only, there's Eric Brooks back for the kick return. And there have been chances. The score suggests no offense at all, but there has been offense. There have been drives. There have been touchdown chances for both teams, and turnovers too. The second half begins. And it is Brooks with it across the 40. Little move. Nice one there to get it up across the 50, closer to midfield.
So how are we doing this with you giving you...
Dedrick Mills looking to pick up where he left off the first half of this ball game. Over 80 yards on the ground. Many of them in physical, punishing fashion. For the Stampeders running back, Dedrick Mills.
Came into the game at 122 in 2 games already in the half, over 80. And Wells, or Vernon Adams, excuse me, under pressure right away, but he just scrambles out of it and chucks it downfield. It's incomplete. Basically threw it away, but Adams using his feet to elude the rush by the RedBlacks. Darius Pickett trying to chase him down. Second down coming up.
Yeah, Adams continues to impress, regardless of the end result of that play, but just with his elusiveness. Always a trademark for VA, going back to his college career at first Eastern Washington and then Oregon.
Now it is 9th CFL season. Second down. Adams throwing. It is caught but punched out right away. And Devin Jones picks it up just in case, but no, ruled an incomplete pass there to Dominic Rhymes in the fourth 2 and out of this game for the Calgary Stampeders. Rhymes had a shot at it, took a pop right away.
Yeah, Rhymes working out of the slot as usual. Trying to get physical and bounce out. There you see, I talked in the first half about often you get a combination of kind of an out route from the slot and the outside receiver releasing outside to take his defender away. In that instance, you had Rhymes sitting it down after being physical with his defender. The outside guy wasn't pulled away, so was there to deliver the big hit.
Well, it was a low snap for Mazin, who does a good job to get it away under pressure, and a low one with the wind, a 76-yard punt into the end zone for a single point for Calgary. But a better look from his perspective on what he was dealing with as the snap came in low.
We've seen some struggles from both teams in terms of cleanly receiving that snap and getting the kick away in this ball game.
And special teams coordinator Craig Dickinson, former head coach in Saskatchewan, having a chat after that play that actually makes it Ottawa with a 6-3 lead with that point on the board for Calgary. But the RedBlacks get to start at their 40. Taking the handoff, rolling to the right, Crum to take off, and a good pickup. Gets it up across the 50 and a first down on the ground again for the Ottawa RedBlacks.
Yeah, and one of the things to watch for with Dustin Crum, and this is one of the ideas that Bob Dice, head coach of the RedBlacks, felt had been one of the big improvements in the game of Dustin Crum, is when he starts to take off, when he runs, he notices now more than back in 23, he's able to keep his eyes on what's going on downfield. It's not just that tunnel vision about running, but still recognizing what his receivers are doing, keeping the opportunity alive to try and make a play downfield. So watch for that.
It's a first down on that run. He's at 49 yards rushing already. Deep look into coverage, but no, coming in front of it was Pimpleton. He had a shot but couldn't hang on. And, Crum has only completed 4 passes, but there have been drops. It would have been a chance on a better day, not so slick, to have a lot more completions.
And this is a nice adjustment on the route for Pimpleton, as it looks like this one is at risk of being intercepted. The defender, Sheldon Arnold, kind of waiting for the ball. Pimpleton cuts underneath him to go and get it, but just unable to come up with that grab.
So it's a 2nd and 10 now, up shy of midfield around the Ottawa 53. 6-3 RedBlacks looking for their first win of the season here in week 3. 4-man rush, running at a time. Crum escapes the pocket again. Flag comes out, finds a receiver 2. It's Keelan White, hops over one defender, gets it down to the Calgary 35. As mentioned, though, a flag did come out as Crum got that away, and it looks like it will be going against Calgary.
Passer. Calgary number 90, 15-yard penalty, first down.
Miles Brown flagged there for the Stampeders.
Yeah, you saw as Crum first started to escape there. It looked like he took a shot up high, Miles Brown, from his defensive tackle spot, just trying to get a piece of the Ottawa quarterback. But you'll see at first, Crum kind of steps up into the traffic. Brown reaches for him, hit him on the face mask. The flag immediately thrown, but Crum able to shake it off and make a play downfield to Gino Lewis.
And it gets down inside the 20, a net gain of 38 yards for the RedBlacks with the penalty tacked on. 3rd quarter, Ottawa's got something going now. With that one coming in looking for the interception, but no, Adrian Green nearly had himself another pick. He had a couple last week against the Argos. Second down.
And you'll see Dustin Crum off the run fake there, takes a shot as he throws that football.
Everybody's having trouble hanging on to the slick football on this day. We've seen a lot of that here at McMahon. Second down. Inside the 20. Blitz coming. Gets rid of it Hardy's way, but not close to Justin Hardy with Roberts, weak side linebacker there along with him. So we get a 3rd down and 10, and Lewis Ward coming back on to see if they can open it up to a 6-point lead.
Yeah, the trend continues here into the 3rd quarter of teams being able to move the football, but just unable to successfully finish drives.
So Lewis Ward back, Richie Leone to put the ball down just to cross the Calgary 26. And Ward again puts that one through. Another field goal for Lewis Ward and increases the lead in this low-scoring game to 9-3. Jalen Philpott, a good start to the season. The leading receiver for the Calgary Stampeders. Looking to get things going now. They're trailing by 6. Good start to the season for Calgary's leading receiver Jalen Philpott, drafted back in 2022, had to miss the entire 23 season. A sample of what he did against the Argonauts last week, and Philpott had 6 catches for 117 yards.
Yeah, a dynamic athlete, terrific receiver, hard-working young man. You know, it hasn't been as meteoric a start to his career as for his twin brother Tyson in Montreal, but believe me, Jalen is well on his way, every bit as talented, and demonstrating that here in the early going.
Just 1 catch so far in this game, though. That is thrown, and it is caught by Clark Barnes. A nice catch under these conditions today, and a big one, too, into the RedBlacks zone. Gets up around the Ottawa 40, a 34-yard reception there for Clark Barnes.
And see a little bit of the chemistry developing between Vernon Adams and these 2 young Canadian receivers. We mentioned Philpott, Clark Barnes, as well, a 3rd-round pick in 2023. I think certainly a guy that most people would argue, not even necessarily in hindsight, probably should have been picked much earlier than he was, but look for these 2 guys to have an impact for the Stamps this season.
Oh, and they tried it. Little toss inside to Tevin Jones, and that is a pass. It is an incomplete pass.
Incomplete pass.
The 2nd down coming up. But yeah, those Canadian receivers, Barnes and Philpott, and both of them, Dwayne, good starts to the season.
Yeah, each of these guys, you see, with a 100-yard game to their credit here in the early portion of 2025. Sign of things to come. First 100-yard game for each of them. But I think these 2 guys could be leaned on as much as anyone to pick up the slack in the absence of Reggie Begelton.
2nd down, and just off to Mills. Spins and tries to work his way down around the 40, but still well shy of a 1st down. And so going with the wind at their back. Got a field goal situation coming up here for Rene Paredes. 6 for 8, longest of 46 coming into this game. And Paredes had 1 attempt and missed it in this one. So looking for his first field goal of the afternoon. The Stampeder points so far coming on a safety and then on a rouge. To get it back within 3, Paredes. Perfect. Right down the middle for the veteran out of Concordia. And one of the star kickers in the history of the league. They go down quickly, get into field goal range. 9-6, Ottawa leading 3rd quarter. 8 a.m. Pacific on TSN. NHL Free Agent Frenzy. There's Rene Paredes. He's put some points on the board. 3 more for Calgary. Getting within 3. Ottawa ball. Starting at their 40. And coming back to it is Khalil Pimpleton. And then turns around nicely and gets more yardage. Pimpleton down to the Stampeder 45. And a good job after the catch for number 83 in his second year with the RedBlacks. 23 yards.
A definitely nice job by Pimpleton on the route, as you saw. And following it up with that elusiveness in the open field that I think caught the eye of so many when he first arrived in Ottawa last season. Made some plays as a kick returner.
And as a receiver on a crossing route against Edmonton, and just at blazing speed to get around the corner after catching that one for a 70-yard touchdown. They knew they had something with him, with Pimpleton. Good set of receivers. It's been a tough day overall for these offenses here at McMahon. But that one by Pimpleton gets Ottawa's offense up to the Calgary 47 and a first down. 9-6 going against the wind, running the football now. And down inside the 45, picking up 3 yards. And that is William Stanback, who had quite a second quarter, really one of the last drives of it, where he ended up with over 70 yards rushing all of a sudden.
And the Ottawa RedBlacks would love nothing more than to see number 31 get on a little bit of a roll here.
8 carries, 79 yards for William Stanback. There's still lots of time left in this game. Only 55 yards rushing in the previous 2 games. He's topped that and then some. Here's Crump. He's taken off again, and he does take a hit. Coming in there is Nicky Farinaccio, the rookie.
Yeah, Farinaccio, former President's Trophy winner at the University of Montreal, making his CFL debut here today, getting some snaps at middle linebacker. He and Micah Tights.
Short yardage. And they keep it, and looks like they have enough to move the sticks again. Yes, they do. Right around the Calgary 37.
So Bob Dice conferring on the sidelines with his special teams coordinator, Rick Campbell, veteran coach in this league. Little role reversal for the 2 of them from earlier in their time in Ottawa.
When Campbell was the head coach right from their inception in 2014, and they hired Bob Dice as special teams coordinator a couple of years later in 2016. Together they won a Grey Cup, beating the Calgary Stampeders. It's Derek Moncrief, and force a loss there for the RedBlacks. But yeah, the dynamic's interesting, but Bob Dice, we asked him about it, and they are such close friends. Dice is glad to, after what happened with the BC Lions, for Rick Campbell to bring him back to Ottawa. And circumstances are different, but they have had success working together. And now, as you say, role reversal. It is Campbell, the special teams coordinator.
And a great resource, of course, for Bob Dice to have on the sideline such an experienced guy as Campbell.
And he was an assistant with the Stampeders. He was their defensive coordinator under John Hufnagel back in 2013 when he applied and got the job to be the first ever head coach of the Ottawa RedBlacks. Got some finger pointing here, and flags coming out with a snap of the ball. It's already a 2nd and 12. They discussed this flag. And who's at fault? Have a look.
You saw movement from the Stampeders, but they're allowed to get back.
Offside. Calgary number 41. 5-yard penalty. 2nd down.
Well, it's Farinaccio who is flagged there, and it'll still be 2nd and long, but Ottawa does move 5 yards further up.
Still a second and long situation for the RedBlacks here.
Nicky Alexander Farinaccio, in at linebacker for Calgary. On this drive, under 6 minutes to go until three-quarter time throwing. It is caught underneath by Adeboboye. He gets it down to the Calgary 25, and that's enough for another RedBlacks first down.
Yeah, Adeboboye sharing that backfield today with William Stanback. He's going to leak out of there as a resource for his quarterback with the linebackers dropped off a little bit. Easy dump off for Dustin Crum, picking up that first down.
In his fourth year out of Bryant, the Toronto native Daniel Adeboboye spent 3 years with the Argos. Won a Grey Cup, couple of them. And now running hard, but not getting anywhere there. It's big Jalen Hutchings. Hutchings had a sack that forced a safety for Calgary, and he's got Adeboboye stopped there for a loss.
Daniel Adeboboye, strong guy, powerful runner, but that is a big load to try and fight off. Jalen Hutchings, one of the young guys in this Calgary Stampeder defense who joined the team last season, but really getting their first real opportunity to play this year.
Eighth play of a drive against the wind. The blitz is coming. Pressure. Crum tries to step up, but can't get far enough. And you see Hutchings is in there amongst many others to help finish that one off and force a third down and another field goal situation against this breeze for Ottawa.
Well, this was a nice recovery by Hutchings because you'll see he loses his footing on his initial get off. But that leaves him a little bit off the line of scrimmage where he was perfectly placed to make that play as Dustin Crum started to scramble upfield.
So Lewis Ward, who was 3 for 3, trying to make it 4 for 4 against the wind. A 33-yard attempt to be put down by Richie Leone. And Ward remains perfect here. As mentioned, he had the big kick, the winner here in Calgary for the RedBlacks in the last play last year. Crum tried to escape. He could not. Hutchings made sure of that. TSN. Back in this rainy day, McMahon Stadium in Calgary got up to about 8 degrees, strong wind. 12-6 the score, 18 points on the board in this one. That's it. Here we are in the second half, late in the third quarter. Calgary football down by 6, running again. Dedrick Mills running hard in this game. He grinds his way closer to 100 for the afternoon. 9 more yards and a second and short.
And it's those yards after contact that Dedrick Mills continues to pile up. I imagine the spin move into his repertoire, getting the knees up high, driving forward off contact. Terrific job leaving his team with just a 2nd and 1 and some options here.
.82 yards rushing for Mills, and the keeper here just right around the 50, just across, and that is a first down for the Stampeders. And it's Quincy Vaughn listed on the depth at quarterback at 3rd string, and he gets a chance. I was asking you about this earlier. I know you followed him in the draft, if he was going to get a chance to get a touch here for the young Canadian quarterback.
Yeah, Quincy Vaughn finished his college career at North Dakota as a tight end. And that was a position that he participated at in the combine. And we'll see him play some tight end, fullback, H-back as well here in the Canadian Football League. But went down there first as a QB.
At 250 pounds as well. Got the first down, and here they go. And then talk about rookies for the Stampeders. That's Damian Alford, who was the first pick overall in the 2025 CFL draft with his first catch of the afternoon.
And I talked earlier in this ball game about free agent signings, Dominique Grimes and Tevin Jones adding some size to the Stampeder receiving corps. How about the #1 overall pick in the draft, Damian Alford, 6'6", 225 pounds, and he can run. Terrific career at Syracuse before finishing up last year with the Utah Utes.
And his second career CFL catch, and it goes back to Eno Benjamin in his CFL debut game at running back and special teams, and he gets that one inside the Ottawa 45. Second down coming up.
To reiterate, Benjamin came on the roster in the American spot that opened up when Reggie Begelton went down. But fortunate that the Stampeders elected to bring on an extra running back with Jeshrin Antwi suffering an unfortunate injury in the first quarter of this ball game. He usually would be the guy to take a bit of the load off of Dedrick Mills. Fortunate to have Benjamin able to fill that role.
Adams the pass, and it is deflected at the line of scrimmage, and it falls incomplete. Closest receiver was Tevin Jones. And a third down coming up here for Calgary.
And the RedBlacks, Frankie Griffin again making a play up at the line of scrimmage. Good depth for Ottawa at that linebacker position. When Griffin was out, Davion Taylor filled in at the weak side linebacker spot. Very effective player, played a lot last season for them as well.
With the wind at his back, Rene Paredes from the 51 of Ottawa. 1 for 2 in the field goal department on the day, and he just tucks that one in, and his right upright. 51-yard field goal, 2 for 3. And once again, Calgary getting within 3 points, 12-9, Ottawa leading. He's endured years of injuries, but emerged as one of the leaders on that RedBlacks offense. One of their leading receivers, Braylon Addison. Let's go back to Chantel.
Yeah, you mentioned it there, Rod. Braylon Addison has had 7 surgeries in his career, and I had a chance to talk to him earlier this week, and I talked to him about what has helped him through that time, and he mentioned that going to therapy really helped him, because he mentioned that sometimes when you're just able to hear yourself and talk to somebody, that really helps. And he mentioned that he's been doing it ever since he first got injured in college, and he's going to continue that. And he's even mentioned it to some of the younger guys on the team who have also gotten injured. So Braylon Addison, a huge advocate for therapy, guys.
It was great to hear him talk about that, Chantel. We had him on him to call a couple of days ago. 164 yards receiving coming in. Quieter afternoon for him here, with 1 catch for 6 yards, but an important part of that Ottawa offense. Back to the ground, and William Stanback with it. Picks up a couple of more yards. Call it 3 for the RedBlacks as the clock ticking down for the RedBlacks going against the breeze. They'll have the wind at their back in the 4th quarter, and they are still nursing that 3-point lead.
As you see, the very versatile Braylon Addison checking back into this ball game. This is a guy who last year against Calgary was forced to fill in at running back after Rock Armstead was ejected from the ball game.
And at that big catch from Braylon Addison in the second last play of the game to set up the winning field goal against the Stampeders. Last play, 3rd quarter, Dustin Crum, 2nd and 7, and off to the right, but dropped, and a flag comes out too at the same time. Stanback, the latest on this day, that just can't hang on to the football.
Just a missed opportunity there.
Offensive pass interference, Ottawa number 87. That penalty is going to be declined. 3rd down.
So there you see the, well, we'll call it what it was, a bit of a pick by Gino Lewis trying to free up Stanback.
So penalties declined. That's 3-quarter time. Ottawa will have to punt, but at least they'll be able to do it with the wind at their back. Heading to the 4th. RedBlacks in a tight one lead the Stamps by 3.
On July 3rd, we are going to make CFL history together.
In a year, the Calgary Stampeders are celebrating their 80th year, also celebrating the first ever Stampede Bowl. Here's the president of the club, Jay McNeil, and a former teammate of 40s here in Calgary. But just tell me how this all came about. It's going to be Winnipeg July 3rd when things get started.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, one of the things we were trying to do as we talked about the 2025 season is how do we be bigger and bolder? And this game is what that's all about. It's about celebrating the 80th year of the Stampeders. First time we're going to host a game during Stampede, and we're super excited to have host people from across Canada.
Sounds great. We've seen a lot of this, Jay. That's Eric Brooks as he picks up after the fumble there, but so no harm for the Stampeders as they get set to take over on offense.
Big fancy trophy. I just want to know what role you played in designing that bad boy.
Well, I think you know my creativity, so you know I think I signed the check for it. Other than that, it was all our team, and they did a great job with it.
Very nice.
So Burton Adams on 12-9 the score here. Fourth quarter begins with Calgary looking to bounce back there, but a lot of excitement, I'm sure, with Winnipeg coming in, a good rivalry there, and of course you just get set for this play here with three receivers off to the right, and Adams looking that way, and it looks like Eric Brooks has it, takes it down around the 33, but yeah, just how this ties in obviously with one of the great Calgary traditions as well, the Stampede.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, we reached out to them to say, you know, hey, was this something that you guys could get behind? And they've been with us from day one, and so it's been a great partnership. And as we've been saying, we're going to kick off the greatest outdoor show on earth with the greatest outdoor show on turf.
2nd and 3. Handing off. A little jump there for Mills, trying to get up right at the first down marker. Very close at the 35 he had to get to pick up that first down.
Well, Dedrick Mills continuing his busy and productive day. Moving the sticks here. And again, fighting through a tackle to pick up critical yards for his team.
So it is a first down. Mills just got that up at the 35. Against the breeze now here at McMahon. Adams back to the ground and picking up a couple of yards there. Jay McNeil, president of the Stampeders. I also want to ask you about a guy that near and dear to you and 40 and anyone who's played for the Stampeders, George Hopkins, honored recently with induction into the Alberta Sport Hall of Fame.
How awesome is that? You know, over 1,000 games, coming up on 55 years in the CFL. He is he's an icon in this league, and he's an icon for our team.
We got to see Dwayne Mandrusiak up in Edmonton as well. Similar role for the green and gold over the years. But yeah, I mean, just talk a little bit about what George has meant to so many guys over the years.
You know, like when you look at it, he's been a mentor, he's been a friend, you know, he's been a colleague, and he does everything for the team, and he keeps, you know, our locker room, you know, just running smoothly every day, and he's such a great guy with the players, you know, and he's somebody that I consider a friend, and I know you do as well, Dwayne. And you know, when we celebrated his 1,000th game a few years ago, I think there were only 50 alumni that came here to celebrate it, and that just shows you who he is and what he's about.
Having a little discussion here too, and was this a catch for Dominic Rhymes? And they did say no catch, so punting to come on. But yeah, some of the legends of the game, equipment managers as well, and it's nice they're not forgotten. You mentioned Dwayne Mandrusiak and George Hopkins, and both of them honored the Alberta Sport Hall of Fame. Nice to see him honored, and on the punt, rolls out of bounds right there by Devontae Dedmon, a 40-yard punt. Thank you, Jay.
Thank you very much.
Jay McNeil, president of the Stampeders. There's Gio. George Hopkins. Calgary still trailing by 3 here in the fourth quarter. Coming up, part 2 of the doubleheader. Zach Collaros' first start of the season after serving that suspension. Winnipeg coming in at 1-0, and another game, a rematch against the BC Lions at BC Place. Dalton Schoen back in that Bomber offense. James Butler back in BC. Looking forward to that one too. Part 2 of the doubleheader. Jeremiah Masoli getting the start at quarterback for the BC Lions. He had a memorable start here for Ottawa 1 year ago in that victory on the last play. 12-9 Ottawa. Just over 12 minutes in the fourth quarter. That is complete to Justin Hardy, one of their top receivers, who's had a very quiet day as he gets that one up across the 35. The second leading receiver in yardage in the CFL last year.
Yeah, nice route here from Justin Hardy, working out of the slot towards the bottom of your screen. Number 2 receiver here. You're going to watch him sort of turn his defender inside out, stem to the outside, swim inside. Just creating separation, coming back to the line of scrimmage to present his quarterback with a target.
Just the second time targeted, his first catch. Hardy. 2nd and 5 at the Ottawa 38. Time for Crum, off to the right again, no.
Let's go. Let's go.
And reaching out for it was Pimpleton, can't hang on, so a 2 and out. Very quickly, Leone's coming on, and they'll have to punt it away.
Yeah, primary receiver, you can see they're just trying to get the ball in Pimpleton's hands. High percentage pass, and see if he can make some people miss. But unable to squeeze the rock today.
5th 2 and out for that Ottawa offense. Leone standing inside the 25. Back here for the Stampeders is Eric Brooks. Great punt, Leone with that breeze. Takes a hop, takes a roll into the end zone. A 92-yard punt with that wind, and a very healthy roll after it hit the ground as well for Richie Leone. One more point beyond a field goal now as Ottawa's up 13-9.
Eric Brooks seeing some time on offense today, as well as return man for the Stampeders. Elects to let this ball go and bounce into the end zone for the single point when it goes over his head, which I think is the right decision, playing for field position rather than risking being pinned in your own end. But just interesting with the way the game has gone today, so low scoring, that you wonder if that single point could come back to haunt Calgary in what is now a 13-9 ball game.
Yeah, beyond a field goal now. Adams throws it on the run, and it's complete up at midfield too. For the Stampeders, the fullback William Longley with his first catch of the afternoon, and they quickly move up to midfield now, down by 4.
Yeah, William Longley in year 10 starts on the left side of the screen, works across the formation, basically mirroring the quarterback. People see him so often as a blocker. Sometimes, you know, your fullback tight end types get lost in coverage. People don't really account for them. Finds himself wide open there.
The handoff on the sweep there to Jalen Philpott. Cuts it back up nicely and accelerates. And a good pickup on this first down play down around the Ottawa 45. 9 yards for Jalen Philpott on the ground.
Carrying the rock like a running back, looking a little bit like Dad. Corey, an outstanding running back.
Was he ever? BC and Winnipeg. Good cutback there, and picks up the 9 yards. Jalen Philpott.
Cutting off the kick-out block there from the second-year guard, Christy Nakanu.
We saw his brother Tyson score his second touchdown of the season in the Alouettes' victory in Edmonton a couple of nights ago. Short yardage, Quincy Vaughn, rookie quarterback, in again for Calgary. 250 pounds of him. Big athletic quarterback, and easily lunges his way forward. Remember, they had Tommy Stevens before to take that role, and he moved on to the Saskatchewan Roughriders.
Yeah, we started to talk about Quincy Vaughn earlier, starting his college career as a quarterback down at North Dakota, became their short yardage QB as a backup QB. Very, very effective in that role. Been looking to get on the field a little more, use his athleticism a little bit more. He started taking some reps as a tight end, but still remained the short yardage quarterback.
Drafted in the second round, 17th overall, Quincy Vaughn. First down. And that throw goes high on Barnes. Incomplete, off to the right. So second down. Kind of got away from Adams there. Stampeders trying to start at 3-0 for the first time since 2022. In all Dave Dickinson's time in the CFL, as player and coach, he had never had a losing season until 2 years ago. Still made the playoffs last year. Another tough year for Dickinson as they ended up missing the playoffs for the first time in 20 years. 2nd and 10, Ottawa 42, over the middle. That is cut by Mills, yards after the catch. Down to the 30 he goes, and another first down for Calgary. 12 more yards, this time receiving for Dedrick Mills.
Yeah, I love seeing them find different ways to put the ball in his hands. He's going to release and then work across the formation.
The tribute to Reggie Begelton continues.
Yes, full boat full of fishermen that time.
Saw Reggie do that many times. Inside the 30, first down. Time runs out for Adams. He is sacked. Daniel Apoko was coming in there, and so too was Bryce Carter. A lot of pressure up front by the RedBlacks D-line, and that pushes Calgary back.
Yeah, big step-up play here from the Calgary D-line. Apoko coming from the bottom of your screen. Or Ottawa D-line, rather. Apoko off the edge.
So Apoko and Carter team up, push Calgary back to the Ottawa 35, a 2nd and 16 after that loss for Adams. Blitz coming, gets rid of it quickly too, but no. Dominic Rhymes, it was either him or Tevin Jones, sort of landed down in between them, but the bottom line is it's incomplete. And against the breeze, see what Calgary does here in what looks like it would be about a 42-yarder. Rene Paredes is out there. And it looks like the wind has died down a little bit too, which could be good news for Calgary.
Sack looms large. Calgary taking advantage of the field position gained by giving up that single point. Now within the range for Rene Paredes, looking for the veteran to cut that lead to 1.
From 42, looking to make it 3 for 4. He keeps it low and driving, and just through against that strong wind for Rene Paredes. They will take it. Smiles all around. They get to within a point on that field goal. Just enough for 3 more. Wow. The Stampeders glad to have this guy back. Folarin Arimalotti, more on his story now from Chantel.
Yeah, I had a chance to speak with Flo earlier this week, and I asked him what was the difference about his first stint with Calgary compared to now, and he said that he's trying to be more vocal, that he knows what it takes to win a championship and what the team needs in terms of the locker room, in terms of energy as well. And I also asked him what he did in the offseason differently as a player in terms of training, and he said not too much, but I did work on a couple of things, 3 things to be exact. Long arm strength, also the get off, and one more thing, a new move that he hasn't unveiled yet, but he said when he does, there will be a celly that he does with it to let us know, guys.
Yeah, Chantal, he was indicating that he'd give us a signal or something. He didn't want to divulge what that new move was, though.
Exactly. You don't want opposing offensive linemen listening in and being prepared for it. But yeah, in terms of that off-season work, he said wanted to work on, sort of going from the speed to power moves, making that shift.
Back-to-back rushes for Daniel Adeboboye. This is the biggest. He is still going. Down to the 10, just inside. Tackled there by former Ottawa RedBlack Damon Webb. But still, Adeboboye chugging along on the ground with his biggest carry in red and black. 53 yards to put a 1st and goal for Ottawa coming up here.
And keep an eye as this play goes out to the offensive left, right side of your screen. Good kick out block, lock up there by left tackle Dino Boyd on the aforementioned Folarin Arimalotti. And Adeboboye turns it upfield just inside that block for a massive gain.
He now has 6 carries for 80 yards. The RedBlacks now have over 200 yards rushing as a team. 1 point difference. Ottawa leading, looking for more. It is caught into the end zone for the touchdown, and it's fitting that it goes to Daniel Adeboboye. Couple of carries, including a big one over 50 yards, and then a 9-yard reception for the Ottawa touchdown.
Yeah, fair to say this drive is all Daniel Adeboboye. Starts on the backside of the play, working across the formation into the flat. Easy little bit of pitch and catch. Dustin Crum to Daniel Adeboboye for the Ottawa touchdown.
The Adeboboye drive, 3 plays, 70 yards. He had touches in all 3 of those plays, 2 carries and the catch. And Ottawa opens up their lead now, pending the point after, looking to go up by 8.
Adeboboye opened the game at running back for Ottawa. Had a couple nice runs on their first possession. We've seen he and William Stanback sharing the backfield throughout this ball game, and just a potentially very effective tandem. 2 big physical, powerful runners.
It's Jacob Roberts injured there, but Adeboboye, we saw in Toronto what a nice compliment he was, even back when it was A.J. Ouellette and Andrew Harris, and then switching to Kadeem Carey and Deontay McMahon. Adeboboye, the 3rd running back, but was always a nice compliment as the Argos continued to run with some power last year.
Yeah, I mean, when the Toronto Argonauts drafted him, it was with Andrew Harris at running back, anticipated Adeboboye, the Canadian backup, adding depth at that position. The guy who could spell Andrew Harris, I think, established himself as a very capable player and a guy who could handle a bigger role. And it's great to see him getting this opportunity here with the Ottawa RedBlacks.
So Calgary linebacker Derek Moncrief had been hurt. The injury spotter now, I understand, taking him off. It's a point after try here.
Timer, please reset the clock to 5:02. Thank you.
Tom Valesi politely asking for a change on the clock there at 5:02. And so the point after to make it an 8-point game. There's Moncrief. Removed by the injury spotter. It's a big 3-play drive for Ottawa for the first touchdown of this game. The first point after try. And it is good. And it is Ottawa 20, Calgary 12, as the RedBlacks try to inch a little closer to another victory here at McMahon Stadium.
And here's the big play of the drive, the Daniel Adeboboye run. Untouched until he's well into Stampeder territory. Damon Webb tracks him down, but it only postpones the inevitable. It's Crum to Adeboboye to finish that drive with the major.
Signing on as a free agent with the Ottawa RedBlacks after time with his hometown team, the Argonauts, Grey Cup champion last November. And all smiles now as he picks up his first touchdown with the Ottawa RedBlacks. And it all came together pretty fast.
I mean, you ran for 60 yards.
Yeah, a hard-working young man. A lot of talk still about him at the CFL Combine in his draft year. Leading the way on the bench press. He and A.J. Ouellette, among others. Big part of that weight room culture with the Argonauts.
Here's Eric Brooks and the kickoff return up across the 30. Tackled there by Jaden Griffiths. And so Ottawa finally does get a touchdown, and it's the tradition here in Calgary when the Stampeders get a touchdown, Quick Six gets to run. Well, Chelsea Drake the rider, but Quick Six is just might be getting a little cold here in this.
Quick Six is itching for a little bit of action here in the 4th quarter.
Yeah, didn't even run in the anthem, which normally does, so Calgary's got to get Quick Six running here. They need a Quick Six. Down by 8 right now at the 32, 4:24 in the clock here in the 4th quarter. Vernon Adams, and that one low for Tevin Jones. It falls incomplete.
Well, the Stampeders, like Ottawa, have had that success running the football today, but need to look to open it up here a little bit. because they need to get a major on the board.
See the second down conversions for the Stamps at just 6 for 18. Big second down here coming for Calgary as the RedBlacks have the momentum. 3-man rush. They back off. Adams underneath. No.
And as you've got the Stamps trailing by 8 with just under 4 minutes to go, you can't help but think back
to
a couple of first half possessions where they turned over the ball.
Thought initially, Dwayne, this was incomplete for Mills, but yeah, nice catch for Dedrick Mills. But
Great job to keep that off the turf.
Yeah, and it was, and it picked up a few yards. It's still a third down coming up, and they're going for it. They're at the 36. Third down, 6 yards they need to keep it going. Points at a premium on this day, and sensing that, here's a third down gamble. Again, just free rushing, thrown and intercepted. Charlie Ringland, the new safety after the injury to Alonzo Adai. Ringland in his second start with the RedBlacks, and he gets a big pick of Vernon Adams Jr. there to give Ottawa the football on another turnover by Calgary.
On Charlie Ringland playing deep at his safety spot. And yeah, interesting decision given the time for Calgary to go for it on third down, trying to push the ball downfield. Ringland, University of Saskatchewan product. Played his high school football at St. Paul in Winnipeg.
And back to the ground, and why not? Daniel Adeboboye. He's the only one touching the ball lately, as he had all 3 plays, including the touchdown the last time. 11 more yards for Adeboboye. As we head down to the 3-minute warning, and the Ottawa RedBlacks with the wind at their backs and an 8-point lead.
Thank you.
The warning has been given as the RedBlacks, who won dramatically here last year and the year before, looking to win more comfortably here at McMahon for a 3rd straight year.
Back in BC, getting set for the second half of the doubleheader. Enoch, Ches, I'm sorry to report Snoop Dogg did not come back for the two of you, but a couple of other stars in action today. Zach Pillaros making his first start of the season. On the flip side, Jeremiah Masoli with the injured Nathan Rorick. Can't wait for this one next.
All right, Kate, looking forward to it. BC at 1-1, losing in Winnipeg last week. The Bombers had the bye to start, and Collaros gets his first start. They're 1-0, and here in Calgary, Bob Dice's RedBlacks getting closer to another win here at McMahon Stadium. He has been perfect here as a head coach of Ottawa at McMahon. Having a chat there with former head coach, now special teams coordinator Rick Campbell. 2nd and 1. Crum keeps. First down. It's another look now at the latest turnover committed by the Stampeders on that 3rd down and 6. And the pass by Vernon Adams picked off by Charlie Ringland.
Yeah, and time in the pocket for Vernon Adams, just trying to hit Jalen Philpott working down the seam. But the Ottawa DBs are playing deep, looking to play anything deep. Charlie Ringland perfectly positioned to cut underneath that one. I know he'd want to give a little shout out to his old college coach, Scott Flory, the U of S Huskies.
He had a great CFL career in his own right with the Montreal Alouettes, but yeah, from U of S, and I know you followed him heading into the draft a few years ago when he got hurt. DC still picked him. He started his career with the Lions, and now getting a chance after that really unfortunate injury to Alonzo Adai at safety for Ringland to step in. William Stanback, the ball carrier, and that's inside the Calgary 45. 2:22 on the clock now.
Yeah, you mentioned the injury. Charlie Ringland injured his knee at the CFL Combine, so leading up to the draft, well-regarded prospect. And it speaks volumes about how teams viewed him, that even with that injury, knowing he was going to miss the entire 23 season, that BC still took a shot on him.
Faking down to Baboye, and Crum carries it, and it's Miles Brown wrapping him up. But down, didn't need much, down around the 38.
Timeout, Calgary.
Excuse me, down around there. Actually, the 41, they put the ball down.
Ottawa playing it safe with that possession. Obviously, with the very reliable Lewis Ward as their field goal kicker, wanting to make sure that they stayed in a field position that allowed them an opportunity to try and put some more points on the board and make this a two-possession game. But by no means a gimme, as Ward sets up his tee at about the 48.5-yard line.
And that is very close to the spot. A year ago, on the final play, he hit one from 51 to win it in a walk-off. Leone to put it down, as you say, at the 48. Lewis Ward 4 for 4, and this one can make it a two-score game. Out and down, and no, off the upright. So he misses it. That one driving it low, and no points for the RedBlacks. It remains a one-score game, so Calgary, with under 2 minutes to go, do have a chance here. They would need to pick up a touchdown and a two-point convert.
Kind of a driving kick there from Ward, hooked it to the left a little bit. That's a dead ball off the upright.
And the Stampeders offense gets to start at the 30 as Ward watches that one. Not this time. Still an 8-point game. 1:53. Adams back in there. Four-man rush over the middle. It is caught. It's Dominic Rhymes, ex-Ottawa RedBlack, with another catch against his old club, and a big first down as Calgary goes tempo.
Yeah, Rhymes and Tevin Jones releasing out of a stack from the left side of that formation. Just looking to create a little bit of confusion for the defenders. Rhymes the open target.
Gain of 23 in his second catch of the afternoon. Throwing again to Jalen Philpott. And just inside the 50. Philpott with another catch, and it'll be second and short coming up. Calgary trying to move quickly here.
Yeah, the Stampeders unbeaten on the season through 2 weeks. Ottawa looking for their first victory.
Three-man rush. Adams with time, can't find a receiver, looks off to the left, and that is Jones right at the sideline. They confer. Did he keep a foot in? Yes. They're saying it is a catch for Calgary, and another first down.
Oh, what a stab by Tevin Jones on the sidelines here. We'll take another look. Kept the toes of 1 foot down. That right foot, the toes down inbounds. And he appeared to have possession of that football before drifting out.
It looks like Lorenzo Malden is the injured RedBlacks player getting attention back at midfield. Tevin Jones, first year with the Stampeders after spending last season with Edmonton.
May have seen in the replay, line judge Eric LeBlanc well positioned, looking closely at the feet of Tevin Jones as he hauled in that football. Jones, as mentioned, big receiver, using all of that 6'3" frame to go get that one.
There's another dramatic finish coming up here between these two teams at McMahon Stadium. Adams with time again. Oh, that's complete. Two down at the 25. Rhymes again. Another first down, and still lots of time on the clock. 1:20 to go. Down by 8, a gain of 13.
Yeah, they pull the window open with the back releasing to the flat. Rhymes coming back into that window.
Adams again. Lots of time. And high. And Eric Brooks can't come down with that one, so incomplete. 2 years ago, these two teams went to overtime here. Ottawa won. Last year, it came down to a final kick. Lewis Ward with Ottawa trailing by 1. They ended up winning that game in a walk-off. That's how close it's been when these two get together at McMahon Stadium. Stampeders, 1:13 in the clock. They need a touchdown and a 2-point conversion to tie this game up. Adams. No. Beyond Philpott. Had him there. Goes a bit too far. Wishes he had that one back, and we got 3rd down coming up. This is it for Calgary.
Yeah, this one just gets away from VA a little bit. Over the head of the intended receiver.
The ball is at the Ottawa 25. It's 3rd down and 10. We've got to get at least the 15 on this play, and that'd be just about it. 1:09 on the clock. Needing a touchdown. Pressure coming. Adams steps up, looks to the end zone, and some contact there. Ringland and Jalen Philpott. No flag. Close coverage, Ringland, and another turnover on downs, and that should just about do it for Dave Dickinson and the Calgary Stampeders.
And you get a look at the route from Jalen Philpott here. Working to the middle of the field. Battle between a couple of former Can West stars there. Philpott, former UFC star. You suspect on that one. VA, after seeing a little bit of contact back there, maybe hoping for a PI call that might keep the drive alive, but no such luck.
So Ottawa takes over, looking to put a first victory in the books here for 2025, and another win in Calgary for the 3rd straight year. Spinning Daniel Adeboboye had a big hand in the way this game turned earlier in this 4th quarter with a 3-play drive that really opened it up for Bob Dice. 58 seconds. 2nd down coming up. The only team in the East that's won so far this season, the Montreal Alouettes, who improved to 3-0 2 nights ago. The Argos are 0-3. The Ticats are 0-2. They had the bye this week. The RedBlacks looking to improve to 1-2.
All about ball security here.
Handing off again. That's Adeboboye, who pushes his way up closer to near the 30, but it is a 3rd down. Richie Leone will be coming on. 34 seconds on the clock. Nice directional punt, I'm sure. Leone will be trying to limit any possible damage with Eric Brooks going back to return it. 34 seconds. Calgary will get the ball back. Injured Stampeder on the field. That is the former Red Black Damon Webb, signed on as a free agent with Calgary in the offseason. After 2+ seasons with Ottawa, Saskatchewan before that.
Yeah, 2024 was a real breakout year for Damon Webb. Has previously established himself, obviously, as a solid starter in the Canadian Football League, but one of the stars, one of the most productive defenders in the Canadian Football League a year ago. Moving from halfback with Ottawa to play the safety spot here for Calgary.
Part of the revamped defense for Dave Dickinson is that he likes to build a defense down the middle too. Important piece getting him from Ottawa. Damon Webb, and not a nice sight as he needs some help to get off the field. But they had to make a lot of changes in the offseason after the way things went last year with only 5 wins and a tie in their 18 games. Missing the playoffs for a 2nd straight year, and there's another guy, Folarin Arimolade, in the background there. There's part of the change for Calgary, especially on defense.
Well, interesting field position here for the punt, Rod, because the rules aren't going to allow Richie Leone probably to punt this ball out of bounds in the air. He's going to want to try to get it on the ground to make it a tougher return.
Timeout, Ottawa.
As Ottawa takes the timeout, and it's Brooks who's standing right in the middle of the field and hoping to get a chance of doing something with it, getting a decent return. Just such little time, just one chance to chuck it downfield toward the end zone.
Yeah, Brooks kind of playing in the middle of the field. Often in situations like this with only one returner back, and typically in the Canadian Football League, here the ball's in the middle. Typically you'll see teams punt to the short side of the field for coverage reasons. But occasionally that'll lead to the returner cheating that way. Punter goes the other way to try and get the ball on the ground before the returner can get to it.
He's got to be mindful of the clock as well. A good punt, 52-yarders. And down he goes. And time for a play by the looks of things. 6 seconds. Darius Pickett. Great cover linebacker and great on special teams as well for Pickett in his second year with Ottawa. He was having a strong year last year, but suffered an injury, an Achilles injury, and missed the last third of the season with the RedBlacks. So right at the 30, 6 seconds to go, and a last chance here for Vernon Adams. See Quincy Vaughn had been the short yardage quarterbacks. They got another quarterback in there. Just off, see him motioning back to him. And Adams tosses it off to Mills. Time's out. He's down. Game over. Ottawa RedBlacks win number 1 on the season. Getting it here again for the 3rd straight trip to Calgary. Ottawa comes up with the victory.
Yeah, flashes for both of these teams in this ball game, particularly in terms of their rushing offense. But I think when the Calgary Stampeders look back at the film of this ball game, it's going to be about missed opportunities, leaving the ball on the doorstep a couple of times in this game. You see Vernon Adams with his former BC Lions head coach Rick Campbell. But big win for Ottawa. Get themselves on the right side of the ledger, and a road win important for a team that struggled away from home last year as well.
Yeah, the RedBlacks, well, this day started, and the main opponent was the elements. It was the wind, it was the cold, it was the rain. But one team is going to remember this a lot better than the other, the way it turned out. Cleared up a bit, and Ottawa came on strong. Other ex-teammates there, Darius Bladek, talking things over with Derek Moncrief. So the RedBlacks improved to 1-2, and the Stampeders fall to 2-1. Part 1 of the doubleheader is done. Part 2 coming up at BC Place as we send it off to Kate Burness. Kate?
Thank you very much, Rod, and we can't be more excited for the second half of this doubleheader. It is a rematch of last week's game between the Winnipeg Blue Bombers and the BC Lions. Fans filling in here. It is the summer camp game, by the way, so lots of youngsters here as well. Jesse, let's just recap the game that we just saw, though. And look, weather's certainly playing a huge factor in this one. But for the Ottawa RedBlacks, they pick up their first win of the season. They won the turnover battle, and they did a better job on the ground overall.
Yeah, it speaks volumes when you see the 6 seconds left in the game there. You see a Darius Pickett, maybe their best player on defense, making a tackle on punt team. That shows the type of energy they play with today, which in a game like that, it's not easy. The weather is terrible. Kind of, at 0-2, though, you got to have that win. Huge win for Ottawa. Again, if you look at second down, which is a key down for that defense, Ottawa defense, give them credit. They held Calgary. I think they have 7 for 21 on second down. So great job on second down, again, to your point, Kate. 5 turnovers. And then also on the other side, I know you love that run game. You got 2 running backs averaging over 7 yards a carry. You're not going to win many games if you're Calgary, and you have a running game like that by Ottawa.
Listen, in any game, you're going to have a low chance of winning if the opposing team is running the way that this Ottawa team was running. But you look at a guy like Dan Attaboy, like you knew William Stanback could run 80-plus yards in a game. For him to come in, and he's got a new jersey on, and it's a new team, and he comes out and he starts fresh the way that he did right now. Look, the win is huge, but the fact that you can come out and find something new about your team, find something new about yourself while you get your first win is a huge thing for the Ottawa RedBlacks. So Dan Attaboy adding to this team is amazing for this Ottawa RedBlacks.
I know this is only 3 games into the season, but for Vernon Adams, I mean, he obviously can move his feet quite well. He's great on the ground, but also, too, he can be that dynamic passer. In weather conditions like that, are you just looking past this game at this point and saying, yeah, this was all elements, and I don't want to give him the hall pass on it, but to be quite honest with you, it really did seem like it was a factor for him in this game.
Yeah, for him in the passing game. And I think that we have, as pro athletes, that's a 24-hour rule. Turn the page. Whether win or lose, 24 hours, turn the page. I think Calgary, a lot to do with the conditions. No excuses, Kate, but the conditions. I think they'll turn the page in about 3 hours and move on from this one. But again, tip of the cap to Ottawa. Tough conditions. They were physical. They played 3 phases. A good win for the RedBlacks.
Adam Boye was fantastic in this game. He's standing by with Chantel.
Daniel, you guys now finally get your first win of the season. How good does that feel, and how will it feel in the locker room?
Oh, it feels good. I believe that every good and perfect gift comes down from God, and it's a testament to the work that's put in. Coach Dice does a good job in keeping the guys rallied, keeping us going, and we feed off of each other. Today, the weather wasn't the most ideal, but guys came out with the energy. You could just feel it from the beginning. Guys are ready to go and ready to win.
You talked about you guys were ready from the beginning. Dustin Crum ended up throwing you a nice pass in the end zone. Tell me what you saw in that play.
Yeah, I mean, it was, it started off as a good drive. We saw that they kind of brought like a zero. They had a zero coverage. So I kind of just slipped out, got into the flats, and thankfully Dustin saw me. He's told me that he saw me from the beginning and knew because of the coverage. And I was just, I'm just grateful to get the ball.
Obviously, this is a tough place to play. The weather conditions we talked about was not the best. What does that do for you guys in terms of chemistry and also momentum for the next game?
Yeah, I mean, it just shows that we can go into whatever environment it is, whether it's a far away trip or a home game, it doesn't matter, and we're going to get the job done. We feed off each other, and at the end of the day, we just give glory to Jesus Christ for the opportunity and to do all these things for his glory.
Congrats on the win.
Thank you. I appreciate it. God bless you. All the best.
Well, fans, now it's time for today's starting lineup.
You know what? This is what we've seen too around the CFL. You have a 2-back system, and obviously with stand-back as well. This is quite the dynamic duo it could be moving forward here, Enoch.
You see it across the league. A lot of teams are starting to try to figure out who's that second other guy now in the backfield that we can utilize. But again, for Dan to be a Canadian running back, homegrown, and you talk about Matthew Peterson, we're going to see him in action tonight. Yeah. For him to be able to have a performance like that in a game like that is great for him.
Yeah, we saw it with Saskatchewan last night too, and you're right. Having a guy like Peterson backing up Brady Oliveira, who's currently on the shelf. By the way, I don't know what your favorite part about being on the road is. Obviously, being with the fans is absolutely fantastic, but we found this in Regina because we were served pierogies. We didn't have a lot of them. The crew ended up eating them, which is completely fine, by the way. But I told you, it is the summer camp game here in BC, and for you, gentlemen, I have brought you your individual treats here. This is called a campfire s'mores platter. It's very health conscious, by the way. That one's for you, Davis.
Nice.
And then, of course, I mean, what goes well around the campfire, right? Yeah, some delicious hot dogs.
Glizzies.
Jesse, can you try this out for us and see if you like this?
Excellent.
By the way, the number of children that are looking at you right now just in envy, go share it with the kids,
Take
Jesse.
Take it, Knock.
All right, Zach Collaro is making his first start of the season after sitting out the first game due to suspension. We've got the Bombers, we've got the Lions coming up on TSN.
This is not bad, Kate.
Morris is looking deep. Deep. Gone. Touchdown. 5. Looking deep. End zone. Touchdown. Dembski.
Colaris looks that way, throws that way, touchdown! What a finish!
It is great to see Zach back.